Hello guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. Herrscher's strongest Draconic hero of DxD, Deliverance by ARGUS Fallen. A high school DxD What Ifs 5 Chapter 1, Prologue, Final Lesson in New Beginning. A.N. Hello my readers, followers, as you can see, I've already decided to publish and rewrite this story from my Wattpad. This book belongs to mine, and this was my first masterpiece ever since last year, and it has more likes, favorites in most of this chapter, and it is already ranked up in hot list of Honkai Impact 3rd and High School DxD. So now, enjoy this story of the crossover DxD x Honkai Impact 3rd. After Kiana's teacher, Himeko Murata, saved Kiana from Sirin's control using a serum that brought back Kiana's senses to normal. Suddenly, the void dimension disintegrated and destroyed one by one as the Herrscher of the void was no longer able to control her powers or take over Kiana's body. Meanwhile, Himeko, who had fallen from the sky due to there being no surface left, died. While Kiana remained in her place, releasing her massive amount of Honkai energy until her energy was depleted and she fell unconscious. However, once she was about to fall down, a portal appeared beneath her and began pulling her whole body and disappeared. Once Kiana was gone, no one knew where Kiana Kaslana, the Valkyrie of Shixel and the vessel of the Herrscher of Void, had gone. Only God would tell if Kiana's future would take a different path, for it was merely the beginning of her new life. Location: unknown. This place is very unknown to humans and Herrschers. No one knows where it can be found. People say that when you die, you will go either to hell or heaven. Since it is so peaceful, the portal opens above and gently puts Kiana down on the floor. After that, the portal disappeared into thin air. When Kiana woke up, she gasped as she got up and looked around her. She discovered that she was in some sort of a building with vines covering the walls, a large crest on the floor, and then she found another person there, a 90-year-old man wearing eyeglasses, a yukata, and holding a cane. He was seated on a pillow with a tea table in front of him. However, this made Kiana feel nervous and uncomfortable because she didn't know who she was in this new world, why she was there, or where she was. However, she calmed herself after thinking for thousands of times and decided to walk toward the old man. When she was in front of him, the old man saw her and raised his hand, waving at her as if to greet her. Greetings, Kiana Kaslana. And since you're here, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Elohim, or anyone may call me Yahweh or God from the Bible. He introduced himself as God or Elohim. Then Kiana, who was surprised that in front of her was a God from the Bible. When Elohim saw Kiana's reaction, he chuckled at her as he said, "There is no need to be surprised. If you have any questions, please take a seat and enjoy yourself at our tea party, and I will answer your questions," he said to Kiana while gesturing his hand to take a seat. Kiana decided to accept his offer and took a seat, while a teacup with green tea appeared on the table. Kiana wasn't sure if the tea had a poison in it, so she decided to hold the cup and take a sip. To her relief, there was no poison in it, and she decided to relax while God told her something important. "Kiana, I have some news for you," he began. "Your teacher, Himeko, sacrificed her life to save you from being controlled by Sirin. However, if I allow you to live in that world after being saved by your teacher, it will only put you in danger because you do not have enough power to protect yourself or even save the world in your current state," he explained to her, and Kiana listened intently, who then was shocked as she asked him, "What? My teacher Himeko sacrificed her life just to save me? And what do you mean my life will be in danger if I stay in my world?" she asked as God answered Kiana's question. "Well, Kiana, I know it is very difficult for you to accept the truth. But believe me, you will put yourself in danger and it will cause the balance of the world to be broken, because your world has been plagued with corruption and Honkai for many years now. There is another terrorist organization called the World Serpent that is led by your ancestor named Kevin Kaslana, who wishes to threaten the world and destroy the Honkai. Then there is Auto Apocalypse, the leader of Shixel, who only wants your Herrscher power to revive his beloved Colin Kaslana, who is also your other ancestor besides Kevin, the neutral ones being the anti-entropy, and even your common enemies, the Honkai and Herrschers. You can't save them all. You should have realized that the world cannot be saved without the power that can restore the balance," he answered the question. As Kiana heard this, she was enraged with disbelief in her face as she said, "Wait a second. You mean that there's no way that I could have saved them?" "No. This is unacceptable. I don't care about myself and I can still save my friends and other innocent people. Furthermore, I'm a Valkyrie of Shixel. I won't abandon them and I can restore the balance of my world in the right way. I will stop all of my enemies from destroying humanity and the entire world, she shouted in anger, but God shook his head as he spoke to her. Then how can you prove it? You've almost turned yourself into a villain and nearly destroyed the world. That's why I decided to bring you here so that no one of your enemies would get you in their hands and use you as a pawn of this game. But that doesn't mean that I will stop you. You must not forget this lesson from Himeko on anything and train harder to achieve your new powers, or you need someone else who can help you cooperate with you to save your world, he said as he took a sip of his tea, while Kiana, who heard him, said before she rethought of it after hearing Himeko's words before she died. Then she sighed as she remembered everything before asking God. All right then, God. But why did you bring me here, and is this heaven that I speak of? She asked as God told her all of the questions she had for him. Okay then, but first, you're not in heaven nor in hell. You're in my domain, which I created just for myself. Secondly, the reason I brought you here is because you're going to have a new life in another world, my previous world, and you will be the new leader of the Heaven faction, he said as Kiana was shocked. However, what surprised her most was that she would become the leader of the Heaven faction, and it confused her. Then God explained to her about the history of his previous world during his time. He explained to Kiana that the supernatural in his world still exists, as the Age of God was never ended by the time of King Gilgamesh's rule. He also explained that there are many pantheons that live the earth, including Norse, Shinto, Yukai, Greek, Hindu, and lastly, the biblical pantheon. He also explained that there are 3 factions within his own pantheon. Angel factions, ruled by angels whose wings are lighter and brighter like sunlight. They use holy powers and dragon-slaying weapons or magic, and their leader is God Elohim himself, which he is in front of Kiana right now. The second faction is fallen angel factions, ruled by fallen angels whose wings are darker and blacker than midnight, capable of using holy power, and their leader is Azazel, one of the children of God, along with the other Kadri leaders who were his other children before they were cast out from grace. Lastly, there is the devil faction, whose wings are black and scaly like batwings with some demonic features, and they only use their indestructible devilish power, while others use some of the magic spells which are not related to holy power but have a weakness to holy weapons and magic, which it will be disadvantageous for them. Their leader is Satan himself, who is Beelzebub, Leviathan, and Asmodeus, but one of the greatest Satan is no other than Lucifer Morningstar, who is the first child and daughter of God who rebelled against her father and fell from grace, turning herself into a devil alongside her followers, which are the 72 angels. God explained to Kiana that they had started a war, called the Great Biblical War. But their fights got interrupted by the 2 heavenly dragons, Dedrig, the red dragon, and Albion, the white dragon, who had a rivalry many times over, and both 3 biblical factions decided to work together to seal the heavenly dragons once and for all. However, at the cost of the majority deaths of angels, fallen angels, and devils, who were lost in the fight, as well as the 3 Satans, Beelzebub, Leviathan, and Asmodeus, who sacrificed themselves to save their army. After sealing the heavenly dragons, Trihexa appeared on the battlefield as well, as Azazel and his army withdrew from the war because they could not risk losing any more numbers to the wrath of the strongest dragon god. While Lucifer and God made a decision as they ordered their respective armies to retreat away from the fight before both leaders of heaven and hell began to attack and seal Trihexa at the end of the world, leaving their fake dead bodies behind. This is also part of their plan, as they travel and look for someone who is worthy to protect the world, finding Kiana Kaslana, destined to be the ruler of all supernatural. Oh no, I get it about the history of your world, but do you think that I am really worthy to rule the world? I mean, I'm just a human, not a god, she said as God said to her. Yes, you are truly worthy to be the ruler of the world. However, I am only going to assign you to the angel faction since the angels need another god who can fix the heavens system. Moreover, Michael cannot handle the system because he is not the candidate for the next leader, and Lucifer is supposed to be their new leader. However, my plans are not following well since she rebelled against me before, so I decided to make you their new leader instead of Lucifer. You may be a human, but your power is equal to the beast of Apocalypse Trihexa in your Herrscher form, so you are still considered as a new god, or should I say goddess, he said to her, which Kiana heard him that her Herrscher form is capable to fight against Trihexa, so she asked him. Wait, can my Herrscher of void form actually be able to fight against the beast itself?
I'm not sure if I can use it properly. She asked him, as God sheepishly scratched his head.
Oh, speaking of Sirin, she wants to talk to you about something. You better talk to each other nicely, and I don't want my place turned into ruins, okay? He said to Kiana, as Kiana paled at his mention of Sirin's name. There was a strong aura emanating from behind her back, and when Kiana turned around, she saw Sirin, the ruler of Void, floating in the sky above them. As she descended before Kiana, she spoke. Hello there, human. I mean, Kiana. I just wanted to say something to you, she said to Kiana before she suddenly knelt down in front of her. Kiana, I'm sorry for everything that I have done to your life.
I didn't mean to kill your teacher or destroy everything, including the innocent people and children. I've always focused on my revenge against humanity. I know it is already too late for me to ask for forgiveness, but please forgive me for everything, Kiana. She said as she knelt down, seeking forgiveness. Kiana felt heartbroken over everything Sirin had done to her life. She wasn't sure if she could forgive her, so she was now crying and hugging Sirin as she spoke.
Sirin, you idiot. Sobbing. After all you have done to me throughout my entire life, you always made me suffer and committed sins. However, you have already learned your lesson from my teacher. Therefore, I am going to tell you something. I have already forgiven you, Sirin. Remember, the past is behind us now, and we must move forward into our new future together. She said through tears as she forgave her while Sirin could not hold them back, and she too cried and embraced her wholeheartedly. After a few minutes, Kiana and Sirin stopped crying as they discussed their terms for working together to save the world. Sirin accepted it, knowing this would make her redeem all of her mistakes from the past. They finally moved on and became friends, sisters as one. However, Kiana still had questions. Sirin, is it okay for me to ask if I can use your power as the Herrscher of Void if I'm in serious danger? She asked Sirin, who smiled at her in response. Yes, you may, Kiana. I'll accept it, but if you're in real trouble, just tell me to take over your body so I can face our opponents more seriously. I will stop if you want to go back to normal. Don't worry, I won't break any promises. We're sisters, after all. That's all, and goodbye. She said with a smile as her body went glow and turned into a soul and went inside of Kiana's body. Kiana felt happy that she and Sirin were now in good terms, as she turned to God and said to him. Okay, God. I already accept your offer, so send me to your world, and I'll fix everything in your world once I get there. She said to him, having already made up her mind. He nodded and, before sending her, told her of her new role. Okay. But before I send you there, you also have your destined one who is waiting for you. And you can also turn him into a member of the Kaslana family if you want. But the only way is to let him drink your blood, which would make him turn into a Kaslana, just like you. And if anyone else drinks your blood who is not your destined one, they will turn into a Honkai monster, thanks to your Herrscher powers. That's all, Kiana. He said to her, which caused Kiana to raise her eyebrows in confusion. After a moment, she finally understood it as she widened her eyes in surprise. She knew her chosen one as a male instead of a female, but she decided to let go since she found her new destined one made by God's decisions. However, she still had reservations about it, so she decided to give it a chance. Well, she knows her chosen one is supposedly May Raiden, but she decided to let go as she found her new destined one made by God's decisions, but better not be a pervert or evil person who wants to pleasure the innocent maiden because she hates it. She will only find the most pure-hearted soul who will always love her deeply, which she will gladly accept it. Then she nodded to God accepting it, and then a portal suddenly appeared beneath her before she fell down and screamed in fear. Together with Sirin inside of Kiana's body in confusion before she angrily shouted at God. Why God? Why? I'll be coming back for you. They both shouted in unison, cursing God as they disappeared from his sight. God sighed, knowing their fate was sealed. Sorry about that, it wasn't my intention to do that. Actually, this was all Lucifer's doing. Sigh in depressed. Why my daughter? Why did you prank them? You don't know what they are capable of once their powers grow even more, especially when Kiana unlocks her power of the final Herrscher. It seems that the death is coming for me soon. He said as he looked at the screen showing Kiana appearing in heaven while God said something. Welcome to your new world, Kiana Kaslana, he said as he decided to take a break from his work, possibly returning to his sleep or playing one of the latest video games. End of prologue.